Gina Stirling, putting the G in G-spot and revealing herself as a radical, queer, self-loving act. Gina has been performing internationally in burlesque, cabaret, and musical theatre for over a decade. She has been named one of the top 50 most influential burlesque figures by 21st Century Burlesque in 2021 and in 2024. She has also headlined prestigious international festivals, including the Perth International Burlesque Festival in 2022, Nasty Burlesque Festival Italy in 2024, Heart of Ireland Burlesque Festival 2024, and Maltese Burlesque Festival 2024. In addition to her performance career, Gina is a dedicated burlesque teacher. She is passionate about promoting body confidence, sexual empowerment, compersion, and helping her students thrive through dance. Gina offers regular workshops around England and internationally. She is also available for private tuition, from burlesque act development to acting methods to business skills and dance technique. Everything, including her workshops, can be found on her website, www.theginastirling.com.
Hello and welcome back to the Burlesque Bulletin podcast. I am your host, as always, Honey Holloway, and today, oh my gosh, we have a very exciting episode. We have the amazing Gina Stirling with us. Hello, Gina. How are you?
Hi, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I am doing amazing. I'm very excited to get into all the questions with you. But I don't know if you know this, but before we get into all the questions, I love to ask my guests their zodiac sign if they know.
Oh, my favorite. I don't know a lot about zodiac signs, but I know my own, and I'm just obviously curious about how it translates to your personality. But I am an Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
I am a Pisces moon and a Sagittarius rising.
I love that. I love that combination.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you relate to those signs?
I think so, yeah. I feel like for me that kind of represents I guess Pisces is empathetic and feels deeply and is sensitive, and that's definitely who I am. And then I feel like the Aquarius and Sagittarius aspect is like independent, free thinking, optimistic, and I think that represents a lot of like how I live my life as well. So yeah, I definitely see aspects of myself in that.
Love it. All right, well, we're going to get onto the burlesque questions and we can talk about astrology later.
Amazing.
Okay, so how did you get into burlesque?
Okay, so I think I was 21 years old. So that's so 13 years ago. So I have a musical theatre background, and my mom put me into dance school when I was 2 years old, and I was doing musicals from age 5. So I guess I've always had exposure to the stage from a very young age, and always loved being the entertainer. Whether it was dancing in the lounge to my grandparents, or lip syncing to the sound of music in the lounge, that kind of stuff. So I've always had an exposure to it. And I left school when I was 16 to go to drama college, and then when I was 18 I went straight into industry doing pantomimes and theatre and tours. And I very quickly started to kind of burn out and realize how hard that industry was, with wanting to be in musical theatre, going to London and not getting into the drama school that I wanted. And I remember feeling really disheartened about it, especially when you're that age. You're a lot more influenced, and you take things a lot more to heart because you're still developing. And I went to a burlesque show when I was 20 years old in Liverpool in England, saw a show, and I was like, wow, I'd never heard of it. I think maybe I heard of it when I was 18, but it was still quite a new thing for me. And I saw this show and I was like, wow, this is absolutely amazing. I met these two girls, and they were actually doing a course at the time, like a solo development course. And the one girl was doing she was going to be like a sexy dentist. And she said, I'm actually looking to have a fake audience member come up so I can like sexily climb on top of them and rip their teeth out. Do you want to just come along to practice, and you can be a pretend audience member that I pick on? And I was like, hell yeah, you can rip my teeth out and climb on board. Let's do it. So I did that show with her, had a great time, and then the rest is history. I made my first act up, and I didn't go to any classes. I just went straight for it and just developed my first act, and then did it for 3 years in the UK under a different name. I used to be called Mimi.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I was Mimi Amora back in the day.
Oh, wow.
Um, and so very different energy. I was like my first routine was a cutesy, stripy cupcake routine, and I served cakes. So very different style to what I have now. Yeah, I debuted in Liverpool, did it for about 3.5 years, and then I quit. I just went, nope, I don't want to do it anymore. And
Completely.
yeah, just like, no, I don't think it's for me. I want to, not that it wasn't for me. I think I wanted to travel. My father passed away 10 days before my debut. So I
God.
think it was all a bit of a whirlwind. And I was like, I'm really glad that I did it. But I want to go traveling. And I met my ex partner at the time. We sold all our belongings and traveled the world. And that's how I ended up in Australia. That's the long winded version of it. Yeah.
Wow, wow. Well, that
Yeah.
leads to my next question is how did you decide on the name Gina Stirling? I suppose you've changed it. You started with a different name. So how did that come about?
Absolutely. So, after moving to Australia and being on the road for so long, and it was an amazing experience. But well, I personally started to miss having some foundation and some routine and some community. So, I landed in Melbourne and started to kind of like figure things out. And I was like, you know what, I'm ready to do burlesque again. And I thought about Mimi more, and I was like, I don't resonate with this name anymore. It feels like an older version of myself. To be honest, I just kind of made the name up. I didn't really know what my name was going to be. It just kind of happened. Uh, but with Gina Stirling, it's my grandma's name, and I felt like well, her name was Jean Stirling, but I just changed the first name a little bit to give it, I don't know, just give it a little bit more. It's a homage to her, because she was a beautiful woman, and I wanted to bring a little bit of her into it and have a bit more of a deeper meaning to my name this time round as an older version of myself. And sterling, I guess, is like sterling pound. It's a little bit of that kind of, I guess, English heritage of mine that I wanted to also represent. So yeah,
I
that's where
love
it comes
it.
from.
Oh, that's such a beautiful story. So
Thanks.
how would you describe Gina Sterling in 5 words?
Ooh, I would say she's silly, playful, powerful,
Mhm.
um, soft, like powerful but still soft and sensual, and erotic.
Perfect. Yeah, powerful was the first one that came to mind.
Thanks.
So who's been some of your burlesque inspirations?
Ooh, I always find these questions really hard because there's just so many people, and so many people inspire you for, I guess, lots of different reasons. If I'm going way back, it will be people like Blaze Star, Tempest Storm, or the kind of golden age era icons who have paved the way for us into this modern world. And I think it's really important to always do your research and go back and see where we've come from and see all those amazing femme fatales who have, paved the way for the world that we have now. Um, I love Dirty Martini. I love Zelia Rose. I love yeah, so many different ways that they bring out their own unique styles of burlesque. And I think they all have something so unique. And there's just so many. There's so many local people that are really cool. It's really hard. How
I
can you
know
make me choose?
the
There's so
list
many.
goes on and on. When I was on a
The
podcast
list.
with like me and I don't know if you've heard of the Stripped Back podcast. They're another
Yes, I think yes.
well, yes, Daisy. So we did a collab and we did a swap, and she was interviewing me, and I'm usually so prepared, and she was like, "Oh, so who are some of your inspirations?" And I was like, "Oh my God,
Oh my
I've
God.
forgotten everyone I've ever known, and I have so
Everyone's
many.
names. Yeah. Oh yeah, this is Daisy and Millie, is it? In Liverpool. Oh no,
Daisy
is it?
Daisy Delight.
Oh no, different Daisy,
Oh,
right. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, she does
yeah.
the Sydney scene.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but
Yes.
yeah, because all my guests are always like, oh, that's the hardest question. Like you wouldn't think so because there's so many amazing people, but when you get put on the spot, it's like, oh my God, I can't think of all my favorite performers. They've just gone out.
Yeah, it's just like brain fart, like, oh, how long do you
Exactly,
have?
exactly.
But
But
yeah, it's nice that you feel that way too. I think it's yeah, as you say, like I'm quite non-hierarchical with my favorites. Like I think
mhm,
because I just feel like everyone brings something so different, and you can learn so much from so many different people's styles, whether it's like, oh, I love Dita for her business
mhm.
skills, or I love Maple Rose or Gingerly Valentine for the way that they teach, Pearl Noir for the way that she brings in this beautiful education of embodiment, and burlesque as an embodiment experience. So there's so many amazing people doing amazing work, and it's just an endless amount of knowledge that we can nibble up.
Definitely, definitely. So if you could choose someone to share a dressing room with, who would it be?
Hmm. If you'd asked me last year, or maybe the year before, I would have said Zelia Rose, but I had the absolute honour of actually sharing a dressing room with her on a one-on-one. We had a gig, just the two of us together, and that blew my mind. I was just like, in my mind, I was like, just play it cool, man, play it cool, everything's fine. And she was just an absolute delight. And I think I just love her career in the terms of like she's had this amazing burlesque career, and now she's dabbling back in musical theatre, and that's really inspiring for me to see someone switching between these two worlds, because I have been feeling like, oh, maybe I want to dabble in musicals again or something different. And seeing how
Ooh,
she's done that, it gives me a lot of inspiration that I could potentially, you know, fleet between worlds. I think Dirty Martini would be really cool to me as well. Like she seems like an absolute bundle of joy, and she has so much knowledge and history. And I think she'd just be really fun. There'd be lots of laughs. And I think for teaching wise, Gingerly Valentine, I'd love to, it'd be lovely to share a room with her and just pick her brain at teacher to teacher, because I just think it's lovely to meet other teachers and explore how they teach and what their styles are and stuff, because that really fascinates me as well.
amazing.
Hmm.
So what's been one or some of your favorite highlights throughout your career?
Ooh. I think a big highlight was the Hebden Bridge Burlesque Festival in England. I'd been on the Australian scene for a few years, and I just got back into it. And then about, I think it was two years ago, I got asked to do the Hebden Bridge Burlesque Festival. And this is a festival in the UK that I'd done very earlier on as Mimi Moore in 2014 in their, no, 13, in their Legend in the Making competition. And it was wonderful to have like a real 360, coming round and coming back to it and performing alongside some real icons. And just the stage production, the lighting, the vibes, and the audience was amazing. And then I got to go back again and do their Cabaret Against the Machine show, which is performing to a live band. And I created a new act for that, my Bride of Frankenstein act, and I redid it to Bring Me to Life, Evanescence. And I felt like a bloody rock star. I was like, this is the best. This is like such an awesome experience. And I got to create a new act that maybe I wouldn't have usually made, but because they give you a list and they tell you what songs they can do, it was a nice chance to be like, okay, let's try something really different here. And I actually ended up really enjoying it. And it's one of my favorite acts to perform at Halloween. So I would say those are definitely some career highlights. And also headlining the Perth International Burlesque Festival. That was a really wonderful opportunity for me. And I just fell in love with the Perth community. Um, Yeah, I think just being a part of festivals, it's a really awesome way to meet people internationally and from all over the world and come together for this really inspiring weekend of art. And I just really thrive in those environments and love being at the festivals.
So what about some not so great moments or some malfunctions on stage?
Okay, I think my biggest malfunction was before I changed the staves of my feather fans to Donna Touch staves. Now they're a metal ones, so I don't think I'll ever not have metal ever again. They were plastic ones, and they were just cheapy ones. So I learnt my lesson. This is the best way we learn through our mistakes. And I was like, all right, so dancing, 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 put them on the floor to do some like free hand movement. I go back down and the staves have completely shattered and I can't pick them up. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to be doing the whole fan dance with interpretive arm dance movement now. And it became like a bit of a contemporary, contemporary theatre expressionate routine. Luckily, it was a hen's party. It was a really small, intimate space. I was like, they're drunk. They don't know what's going on. So I'm just going to go up to them and use my hands and, celebrate the bride to be. And that was the way that I managed to completely improvise my arse the way to the end of the song.
Oh God. How did they completely shatter? That's like crazy.
I have no idea. It was just like, and they like the bolt had come undone, and so if you picked it up, it would all just have splayed, and I didn't want to make it worse, I guess, as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So that was that. Yeah, I reckon that I don't think I can top that one. I think that one is probably my worst.
Yeah. So what's a surprising lesson you've had to learn throughout your burlesque journey or a challenge that you've had to overcome?
Mm. I think a big lesson is there's no rush. Like there's no everyone's got different time frames and different resources. So coming back to burlesque as an older version of myself, I think because I had the break, I felt like I came back with all this force and power, and I was like, all right, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's just like, and things happened quite quickly, but I think it's because I'd had that like previous experience and theatre background that things happened for me in that time. But also the flip side of things happening quite quickly is you have to kind of there's a pressure to keep up with yourself as well. So I think I learned definitely that I can still slow down. Doesn't matter what age you are, and that you're coming back at a later stage, that you can still enjoy the process and take your time. And that's like with things as simple as costumes. When I first got back into it again, I wasn't wearing custom pieces. I was op shopping and finding things and buying lingerie sets from stores and embellishing them. And even now, probably, I mean, actually, just this 2 weeks ago, I finally upgraded all my costumes so that they're all custom. And that's taken time because it takes money, it takes resources to be able to fund yourself and fund these things and to elevate yourself. But I think also what I've learned from that is that people have really enjoyed being along the journey with you on that and seeing you evolve as you evolve. And I think by just putting yourself out there and not feeling the pressure of things have to be so polished from the get-go, you're able to experiment more and go through a more playful stage of your career without that pressure of that polished pressure. And invest when you want to actually invest in a costume. Like, do you actually like the act before you invest more money into the costume? So I've definitely learned lots of little tricks along the way. And now that I feel more solid, like I think I'm nearly I'm 4.5 years back as Gina. And I think now that I'm more cemented in knowing my style, now I can kind of invest straight away in a custom piece and embellish it myself and stuff. But I'm really glad that I had that experimental phase and I wasn't afraid to put myself out there in whatever I was wearing and just putting yourself out there. It's important to play and see what happens.
Definitely, definitely. So has there been some good advice and some bad advice that you've been given that you can think of?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, Good advice, I think is okay, good advice. Yeah, I think it was around Maple Rose gave me this advice, which was really nice. Because I think it's really important, especially as I give a lot of privates and mentorship. I also like to have check-ins with people every now and again, because we can get quite in our own little bubble of our own art. So sometimes it's nice to sound bored with people, and the creative process can be quite lonely, I think, at times. So it's nice to have someone on board and different eyes to give you different perspectives, and so that you're not creating uh, cookie cutters of the same of your acts, and trying to step out of your comfort zone and create new things. So she gave me some great advice, and helped me to zoom in on my own act repertoire and try and like differentiate things, so that they are showing more aspects of your personality and also your versatility. What have you got to offer as a performer? And when you're performing, say, 2 acts in a night, how do they differentiate and how do they show your range? So I think that was really beautiful advice, and that's something that I continue to offer my students as well, is how can we really create that diversity within yourself. So that was really nice, and I think that's a really nice way to constantly challenge yourself, and how you can grow, like the Halloween act, giving yourself a completely different thing that maybe you wouldn't have done. And I think that's really nice to step out your own little comfort boxes. It's cool.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
have there been any bad advice that's been given, or maybe some backhanded compliments, or something like that?
I had a guy once, many years ago, feel like he had to come and find me after a show and was like, I really liked your acts. I think you just need to be less funny and more sexy.
Classic.
I know. And I was like, I could get like really intellectual on you now and be like, well, did you know that burler actually means the word burlesque derives from the word burler, which means to joke and to mock, and the actual art form does derive from comedy. But I was like, that's okay. I'm like, you're not worth my time. So
Yep.
yeah, that was a funny one. Yeah. No, I was like, no, I like being silly. That's fine.
Exactly.
It blows my mind, some people, how, like, obviously art is so subjective, but it's quite funny how people feel the need to say it. I'm just like, just keep it in your brain, keep it in
Mhm.
your brain, you know.
Especially when it's like an audience member and you're like, is this your first burlesque show? Like, have you,
Yes. Yeah, have
have
you
you
been
been
to
giving
one
advice?
before, or would you like to try? Go try the thing.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
on, you do it. You do it. You be
Go on.
sexy up there. Don't be funny. You be sexy.
Yeah, just sexy, that's all I
Yeah,
want. Yeah.
exactly. If you could travel back in time and talk to yourself when you started burlesque, what would you say? What would you say to Mimi?
Oh, oh, little Mimi. I would say, yeah, I think I would say you're gonna be really proud of yourself one day. You're gonna turn into an artist that you will be really, yeah, really proud of, because you've worked really hard and you haven't given up, and you've just put yourself out there constantly, and you should just be really, really happy, and enjoy the journey, because there's always something new to explore, and you're never going to stop learning, and you're never and also you're going to be a teacher, which I know right now feels like something that you don't want to do, but it's actually going to be one of the greatest things that you're ever going to be asked to do, and then it's going to become one of the favorite parts of your business and of your work that you do. So keep learning and keep diving in. Yeah.
I love that. That's beautiful.
That's the Pisces moon coming out, and all the sentiment,
The
the inner
emotional.
sentimental.
Well, what is one of your favorite things about teaching, since you've been loving it so much?
So I did my first ever solo development course as Mimi in Liverpool, and I had 6 students, I think, and that was like 11 years ago. and I really enjoyed it at the time. Like I, had this little space this art space that I used to live above, and all the artists that lived in the house would work in the cafe, and then we'd have a dance studio at the back. So I was like, okay, let's use this time to try and teach and figure things out. And that was my first ever experience. And then I just didn't teach again for a while. And then when I got back into burlesque, I did the ABF Burlesque Festival online because of COVID. And Bottoms at Burlesque asked me to teach at their school. And I nearly said no. I was like, oh, do I want to be a teacher? I'm not sure. Again, it's that imposter syndrome. Do I have enough to offer? And I'm so glad that I took a risk and I said yes. And then I got to teach at Maison Burlesque, where I just met the most incredible people and really learned a lot about my teaching style. I guess the thing that I love about teaching is that people trust me with their vulnerability. It's such a vulnerable thing coming into burlesque, and you're giving so much of yourself to it. So to be able to provide a space for people where they feel that they can explore parts of themselves that maybe they were a little bit too shy to explore or to release, or maybe they haven't given themselves permission to be able to provide that space for them to feel safe, that they can explore something new like this, and seeing their little confidence grow throughout the session or throughout the weeks that they join me, and then seeing them on a stage. That doesn't always happen. Like when I'm touring my workshops, I don't necessarily get to see them on stage, but I get to see videos, and they give me feedback and show me their acts that they've done, and to see that process and to be a part of their process is so rewarding for me. And I also am a bit of a nerd. I love learning new things myself, and I love trying to obtain new information, and learn more about our history. So I get to learn along the way, and I also get to learn more about myself as a performer through my students as well. So it betters me and helps me to improve as well. And it's like a two-way relationship. And there's just nothing better. And I just hope that I can teach forever, in any form. I just love it.
Love that. That's so beautiful.
Yay.
So you talked a little bit about imposter syndrome just then, but how do you overcome imposter syndrome?
By just doing it. I
Mhm.
think, we're always gonna have like a little voice in the back of your head. Social media can be quite damaging at times if you're comparing yourself. So it's really good to have like a great relationship with trying not to compare yourself to other people's journey. What we said before about, making sure you're just always checking in with yourself and going with your own flow and going at your own pace. So I think it's that kind of, I know it's kind of cliche, but comparing yourself to yourself, like how, going back on your own feed, how far have I come? Like thinking about your own journey, like whenever you feel like you're not progressing, like, okay, look back on your last 4 years and you're like, okay, no, that's amazing. I'm doing okay. And I think the only way to overcome any sort of insecurity or self-doubt is by pushing through and keep doing the thing, keep showing up, keep putting yourself out there despite outside noise, whether that's external or your own, self-talk. And I think like anything, the more you do something, the more it becomes second nature, and you can start to kind of quiet that noise out a little bit, because you're just deciding to not let it win. Yeah.
Amazing.
Mm.
So what are some of your strengths and some of your weaknesses that you would like to work on?
Mm. Let's go for weaknesses first. I'm a one look queen. I don't, out of all the things that we have to do in burlesque, and as you know, we have to do everything.
Mhm.
Makeup and hair is definitely not my thing that I enjoy the most. I enjoy how I look when it's done, or I enjoy how it looks when other people do it for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this is what I could look like if I actually upskilled myself. um, but yeah, I think out of all of the things, it's not my thing that I've really focused on. For example, my main focus for the last 2 years has been costumes. I really wanted to elevate my costumes, and I'm really proud of what I've learned and how I've elevated all of my acts. So now that that's kind of done, I have one last costume to rhinestone, which is my new leopard print. I need to rhinestone her, but once that's done, I'm like, I have a bit more time and space to try and better my makeup skill. It would be nice to have a few more different looks. Yeah, I'd like to go to have some lessons and just get a little bit more experimental, maybe, with that, especially makeup. I think my strengths are probably my comfortableness with being on stage. Like you still get nervous. I think nervousness shows that you care about something, but with time and practice, you can work with your nervous system and with your anxiety and find ways to feel more comfortable with working through that adrenaline. And I think my strength is when I'm on stage, I make room for playing and really interacting with the audience and finding that connection and that common ground. And I think that's something that I just really enjoy that. So yeah.
Definitely. I agree with that. I've only seen you perform, obviously, over social media, but I think like you just perform so powerfully. And like I can't say that a lot about a lot of performers that I've seen. So I definitely agree that you have that sort of power on stage and like the connection on stage with the audience and everything like that.
Thank you. It's really sweet.
That's all right. So we are gonna go to a little break. And when we get back, we will be playing a fun little game.
Amazing. I can't wait. See you in a bit.
See ya.
A quick thanks to Cam Attry for sponsoring the Burlesque Bulletin and for all his hard work behind the scenes, filming and editing the podcast. Cam has been involved in the burlesque industry for over 12 years through his photography and videography. If you are a performer looking to get promo photos and video, or a producer looking to get your show photographed or filmed, please contact Cam through his website, camattry.photography, or find him on Instagram at camattryphotovideo. And now back to the episode.
We are back with Gina Stirling, and we're going to play a fun little game called This or That. You know it, you love it. And hopefully Gina's going to love it as well.
I'm excited. Throw them at me.
Okay. Rhinestones or feathers?
Rhinestones.
C-string or G-string?
G-string.
Neo or classic?
Neo.
Boa or feather fans?
Oh, that's a hard one. Feather fans.
Lace or leather?
Leather.
Tassels or assels?
Tassels.
Diamonds or pearls?
Diamonds.
Drag or burlesque?
Burlesque.
Stocking peels or stripper heels?
Stripper heels.
Big stage show or intimate bar show?
Big stage.
Cabaret or comedy?
Cabaret.
Movies or a TV series?
Movies.
What's your favorite movie?
Oh, so many again.
Or top three.
Top three. I'm going to go a classic from when I was little, The Labyrinth, David Bowie. Me and my brother used to watch it on like repeat. I love all the puppetry. It's just so good. And obviously David Bowie is amazing. I'm a hopeless romantic, so I reckon The Notebook's up there and Up.
Oh, I love Up.
Yeah, it's so sweet.
Oh my God. This is a totally random side note, but one of my best friends, her grandparents literally look like the couple from Up. Like literally, if you were to see a photo of them, you would be like, oh my God.
I'd probably just cry if I was around them. I'd be like, do you know? I've seen some really cool Halloween costumes of like older people dressing up as the couple as well. And they have a dog for is it Doug? Doug the dog?
Doug.
I can't remember. Yeah. And they've got like a little Labrador and I'm like, that's amazing.
Oh, so cute. So sad and so cute.
Oh, so yeah, first 10 seconds you're like, oh
no.
Yeah.
Early bird or night owl?
Can I say both? No, I can't. Um, oh, I'll say night owl.
Okay. Do most of the shows in Europe and England, are they later? Because
I
I
would
feel
say
like
they're
Australia,
a mix.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of shows end quite early, actually, like
Hmm.
10:30. But then a range. I guess if you're doing like a real like a go-go slot, you're going to be dancing until 1 a.m. So it depends on the
Mm.
type of show. But I think it varies. But yeah, sometimes you get off at 10:30 and you're like, nice, you can go to
Yeah.
bed.
Go
But
to bed
I've been
early.
trying really hard to still, like, even if I had a late night, which is why I hesitated, I'm still trying to get up before 9 a.m. and
Yeah.
which is, I know that's quite late, like, for a showgirl, it's like, yeah, the morning is like 12 p.m. But just to try and have my day still, I've been trying really hard to still get up early and like have a day.
Mm,
Yeah.
definitely.
Mm,
Um, okay, where am I at to? Sweet or savory?
savory.
Do you have a favorite meal?
Oh,
If you
I
can
love
choose.
food so much. Current favorite. I mean, I'm really into like ramen at the moment and like
Yeah.
noodles and Vietnamese food. I love it. And you can't beat a pizza. I've just been in Italy, so whenever I'm there, I'm just like carbs, bread, spaghetti, fish, like yeah, Aperol spritz.
Hmm. Yum. Halloween or Christmas?
Christmas. I think I like the festivities. And this was my last year was my first cold Christmas in 7 years since moving back to the UK. And it was really magical. I think I just never quite got used to the hot Christmas, even though I got into it. But something about a cold Christmas and snow and Christmas markets and hot toddies. It was a vibe. It was really nice.
Yes, I think I don't like Christmas only because it's absolutely so stinking hot always.
Yes. I
So
do like having prawn cocktails on in Aussie Christmas though. It's
did
really
you like
nice.
that?
I love a prawn cocktail. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're pretty good.
yeah.
Red or white wine?
I'm not a huge wine drinker, but I'll go for if I had to choose, it would be white
Hmm.
and something quite sweet like a Moscato. I'm like a big kid. I just want sugary things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cocktails or beer? What do you think?
Cocktails.
Yeah.
I don't drink beer at
Yeah.
all, so yeah, definitely cocktails.
What's your go-to?
A mixture of I know it's not like a real like an actual cocktail, but like Aperol spritzes, Clover clubs, something sours like the
Mm.
soured ones. Yeah, very much into that. I used to really love my espresso martinis, but I'm not drinking as much coffee at the moment. So any coffee actually. So yeah, unless you can get a decaf one, that would be quite nice.
Oh, that
Yeah.
is literally me. I used to always do an espresso martini, but yeah, I don't
Mm.
drink coffee anymore. I used to be like obsessed with coffee, and now
Yeah.
I went from coffee all the time, literally every single day, to decaf,
Yeah.
literally every single day. And I couldn't tell you the last time I had a coffee now, and
Wow,
it's
I feel like
crazy.
something just switches in your yeah,
Yeah. Have you tried
yeah.
matcha?
I have tried. Is that the green,
Yeah,
the matcha tea? Yeah,
it's
I
like
like that with oat milk.
yeah. I'm sort of
Yeah, it's
on
nice.
that kick now. It does have a little bit of caffeine, but it's sort of more of a slower release.
Yeah, nice.
And I had it years ago and I thought it tasted like dirt.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
now something weird has happened and yeah, I'm not a, I don't know. The last time I had coffee, I was like, nah, I'd rather a matcha. And now I'm on the matcha.
Yeah, you're like, who is she? What's going
Literally, I'm
on?
like,
Yeah.
that was my personality for so long. Now I'm like,
Yes. I know. I used to before I went full time with Burlesque. I used to be a barista. I don't know why I did this. I used to be a barista, and yeah, so super into coffee. Like had it on tap for free, and then about a year ago, I was like, no, I don't want to drink it anymore. So hot chocolate is my go-to. Every morning, I'm like hot chocolate, oat milk.
That'd be so good in like cold
It's
weather
nice.
as well.
Yeah, it's like
So
yeah,
nice.
cozy.
Well, that is all of our little game, but let everyone know if they don't follow you on social media, which I'm sure they do. But if they don't, let us know where we can find you on social media.
Amazing. So all of my links are at the Gina Stirling, and Stirling Stirling. So at the Gina Stirling. So you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of the things, YouTube. I've got a Spotify account if you want to listen to my favorite songs. And my website is www.theginastirling.com, and you can find everything on there, from merch to my events to my workshops, to my private online lessons if you want to book me online. So there's lots to be seen there.
Amazing. And is there anything specific coming up that you want to mention?
Nothing specific that I can reveal, unfortunately, but this year my focus is trying to get to as many places as possible around Europe. So keep an eye out. I'm currently working on my second half of the year workshops tour, and I'm going to be visiting some new countries. So keep an eye out for that, because I'm very excited and I can't wait to dance with everyone in the studio and do some shows in different countries. Yeah.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad I got to finally have a chat with you. And I have to tell you a little story, actually. I
Yeah.
did, when I first started the podcast, I think we had filmed a few episodes, and then it was your last week or something in Australia, and you came to Brisbane for a bit, and I was like, oh my God, Gina Sterling's gonna be here tonight. Like, should I talk to her and ask her to be on the podcast, even though she's going back to England? But I just chickened out, and I saw you and you were having a chat with someone, and I was like, oh, do I do it? And I was like, no, I can't. I just chickened
Oh.
out. So it's my own fault, but I'm so glad that we finally got to have you on the podcast and have a chat. And
Oh.
you've been
Yeah,
so
and
awesome
please know.
guest.
Oh, that's really sweet. Well, please know in the future you can talk to me anytime, and that's just to everyone. You can always come up and chat to me.
Yeah,
And yeah, I'm really glad that we managed to get this doing. I think we organised this in December, so I'm really glad that we were able to get it on the go.
I know it's
And all
been
the
a
way from
long time coming.
England, even with the time difference, we've made it work. Yeah.
I know. I'm gonna take this makeup off and go to bed. That's
Oh
what it
yeah,
is.
of course. Yeah. No, well, I'm feeling glam now, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go for a walk and get a hot chocolate.
Yes, amazing. All right, well,
Yay.
have a lovely day, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much to our guest for being on the podcast and letting us take a peek behind the curtain of their lives. Thanks for everyone joining us, and we will see you in our next episode.